by the way, does not happen because we want to become an entrepreneur. So today, I'll tell you, this is all logical part. Now let's come to the emotional part, because somewhere we believe we link it emotionally more. Which are the communities which are more successful in entrepreneurship? Gujaratis, Marwadis, Parsis, Sindhis. I just need few of them. I'm sure as an entrepreneur you can belong to any community for whatsoever, and you can be an entrepreneur. So let me not define that you need to be among these 3 or 4 community only to become a successful entrepreneur. But there is some sense that you need to get out of this experience. That's the reason please start reading history in a different context. Now let's look at Marwaris. They are considered to be one of the successful business community? Okay. What makes them so successful?
From the schooling only, the whole aim
Is schooling only?
from that time
Okay.
they get up, they want
ठीक है, anybody else? Huh? From the parents itself. They are born with entrepreneur ability. Okay. They can take the risk. They can adapt.
the whole aim is to set up a shop.
Money minded. Guys, this is your definition. Okay, the real definition is, where do they originally come from? From Rajasthan. What is Rajasthan known for? Desert. Can they eat sand? Can any one of us eat sand? How can you expect a community which is born out of desert to remain confined to desert? They will have to look for something outside the desert region. Okay? So this community, which was obviously most deprived of the basics in life, they have to come out of that. So most of the Marwaris in the 17th and 18th and 19th century, at different point in time, they became forced migrant. And what happens when you are forced migrant? And this is a classical theme you will always see. Migrants are always more successful than the natives. You can go to anywhere in the world and you can check the history. Migrants will always be successful as compared to the natives. Take any example anywhere in the world. Why? Because as a native, you have the privilege of staying there. As a migrant, you have to look for a rightful place to stay there. And how do you look for a rightful place? By doing something unique and distinct, by taking the ownership of the situation and converting the challenge into an. This is what my Marwaris did. So you look at the history of Birlas, for that matter. You look at the history of any of the big community. What used to happen? They used to be, in those days, our economic capital used to be Kolkata. Am I right? So what used to happen? They used to get somewhere into the train, reach Kolkata. They will find somebody in the community who will give them a small place on Gaddi to stay. Somebody will give some basa to eat food. They will get you some job, a small job here and there. And then over a period of time, the moment this fellow settles down, okay, you go and do some activity somewhere, economic activity. So there used to be a lot of community support obviously available to them in those days, provided by those people who had come through similar kind of challenges. And this community, because they were so deprived otherwise, they became a powerful networked community in those days to become one of the biggest traders. What is so distinct about Gujaratis? Will they eat salt? Gujaratis में भी कच्छीस बहुत ज़्यादा smart होते हैं business में. Why कच्छीस? Because run of Kutch में salt के अलावा कुछ नहीं मिलता. So because most of the migrants happened out of that region of Gujarat. Palanpuris, Kutchis, you know, so many of them, and you can relate to it maybe much more than me. So what happened? They were also forced, they also got themselves into forced migrant. So today if you go to Africa, you will find a lot of Gujaratis surviving and thriving in business. Okay? You look at, they came and literally controlled the whole of textile market at some point in time. So Gujaratis also look at similar challenges. Look at Parsis. What happened to Parsis? They became forced migrant for whatever reason. Let's not get into the history of Parsi community. But what happened? Parsi community came as a migrant. For whatever cultural reason, religious reason, economic reason, they came in some parts of Gujarat, they settled down. They have nothing else to look upon but to become a, they converted the challenge into, and that is what the history of Parsi community is. There's another community similar to it, you can trace the history of it, Sindhi community. Today you go to you go to anywhere in the world and you'll find Sindhis thriving in trade and commerce. Were they born with the DNA? I don't think. But what happened around partition? They were uprooted completely from their natives. They became kind of a forced migrant in 50s. And what happened? Sindhis then they themselves spread themselves so thin and wide somewhere. Somebody went to Indonesia, somebody went to Singapore, Hong Kong. You go to UK, you look at, and in various cities in India. And when you have so much survival at stake, what will you do? You will bring your best in it. So by the way, let me tell you, this success, economic success in my view, is largely dependent on the choice you had. If you have a choice to otherwise live a life where survival is not question mark, you will not possibly, you are not forced to excel. Why Indians are so strong today in the whole of Silicon Valley? We are economic migrant to Silicon Valley. And when we were forced, when India was not being recognized, we were considered a country full of what? Snake charmers. Think of a student in mid-70s who walked into US soil as an Indian and he says, you are coming from a country of snake charmers? How will you feel as a student? So what happened? We were economic migrant for various reasons. And we as an economic migrant converted that challenge into an opportunity. And today, you say I'm an Indian student, as an Indian student in Silicon Valley, and tell me what respect you will get today. How it happened? So let me tell you, irrespective of which part of the century we belong to, the moment we convert this challenge that we don't have enough jobs, and we need to convert from job seekers to job creators. Now this is a challenge that we have as a country today. And if you want to take this situation similar to what Marwaris did, Sindhis did, Parsis did, or you can say economic immigrants anywhere, you can convert into a great golden opportunity and say that yes, you have everything possible to create a great economic superpower wherever you work, wherever you are there. Look at similar history. Which is the biggest community internationally which is so successful in business? Jews. Do you agree? What is the reason for their success? The community itself was fighting for survival. They were forced migrants in different parts of the world, and they had nothing else to do but to succeed. And when survival is put to a question mark, you excel in everything, whatever you do. So you look at the history of this economic revolution anywhere, it's migrants which has placed them, whenever the situation turns so negative, something else has really happened. And while we may be feeling that this particular country, this particular community is so down, they don't have anything else, they will create the power of economic activity there because they have nothing else to do. So it is not your risk-taking ability, my friend. It is your only choice that you have no option but to take risk. What is the option? So the moment you say the only option is to do this, you will succeed in it. This is the only option that you have to do. What will happen to you? So when you are working for a corporate, the only option for you is to become an entrepreneur. If you don't want to work for a corporate, okay, and if For some reason you don't get the right corporate job, you are blessed to be in that club of economic migrants to create the economic superpower around you. Am I right?